I never thought I'd be sharing my story on the internet, but sometimes writing helps more than talking to professionals. It all started in our neighborhood in northern Atlanta, where we lived in one of those communities where everyone tries to keep up with their neighbors. My wife wasn't originally into that lifestyle, but things changed after she got involved with a fundraiser for the local children's hospital. She met a group of women there who lived the kind of life you see on reality TV shows. I wasn't a fan of their materialistic attitude, but I tried to be supportive. I even started hanging out with their husbands. To my surprise, I clicked with a few of them, especially Theo and Marcus, who shared my interest in mountain biking. We'd often get together for drinks or weekend barbecues. Our social circle grew closer, and we started taking group trips skiing in Colorado, beach weeks in Florida, and weekend getaways to Nashville. Before the pandemic hit, we'd made it a tradition to book a row of cabins at this beautiful lakeside resort in the Smoky Mountains every summer. Things were going well until my wife decided to fulfill her childhood dream. She bought this old 1967 Mustang that barely ran. She joined this classic car restoration club that met every Saturday morning. They'd have coffee, talk about cars, and drive around town together. I'm not into cars at all, can barely change my own oil, so I told her this would be her thing. I supported her decision, though, even when she started spending thousands on repairs and parts. That's when I noticed the changes. The Saturday meetups that used to end at noon started stretching into late afternoon. Her phone, which had always been open to me, suddenly had a new password. Her excuse was that she was counseling one of our friends through marriage troubles and needed to keep it private. She also began criticizing me more, especially about money, comparing me to other husbands whose businesses weren't hit as hard by the pandemic. We'd had our issues early in our marriage. We both made mistakes, but we'd worked through them with counseling. This felt different. The red flags were too big to ignore. So one Friday night, I placed a GPS tracker on her car. The next day, I checked our phone records and found this number that kept showing up. A quick search revealed it belonged to someone named Vincent, who turned out to be from her car club. The GPS showed her car parked at Vincent's house for hours that Saturday. Instead of confronting her immediately, I pretended to be sick and moved to the guest room. She barely reacted, which told me everything I needed to know. I spent the next few months quietly preparing, separating finances and planning my exit. I waited until our youngest left for college before making any moves. When we returned from dropping him at his dorm, I finally confronted her. I showed her the GPS logs of her car at Vincent's house and asked for an explanation. She tried to claim they just walked to a nearby coffee shop for exercise. When I didn't buy that excuse, she switched tactics and started blaming me. According to her, I wasn't earning as much as our friend husbands, and that justified her actions. She even threatened that if we divorced, all our friends would cut ties with me because their wives would make them. I didn't think our friends would abandon me like that, especially Theo and Marcus, who I'd grown close to over the years. I was wrong. I moved out that evening and filed for divorce the following week. Within 2 weeks, none of them would return my calls or texts. Their wives had given them ultimatums, and they chose to keep peace at home. The divorce itself went surprisingly smooth. She bought me out of the house, and we managed to divide everything without too much drama. We even spent that first Christmas together with our kids, trying to keep things normal for them. After that, I stopped following our old friends on social media. What was the point? They'd shown their true colors. I focused on rebuilding my life instead. I got back into shape, reconnected with old college friends, and even started dating again. Nothing serious, a few nice women, some fun nights out, but I wasn't ready to jump into anything long-term. The holidays were split between us, and that worked fine. This year at Easter, our oldest son came home to visit his girlfriend and spent the holiday with his mom. The next day, he told me something interesting. His mom had finally introduced Vincent to the kids. I wasn't surprised she'd waited so long. She'd probably wanted to seem respectable and not have people think she'd cheated. But I guess after a year, she felt it was safe to make it official. Last week, curiosity got the better of me. I knew it was time for the annual lake trip with our old friend group. One of the wives had forgotten to block me on social media, so I checked her photos. There they all were at the lakeside resort, our old friends, their wives, and right in the middle were my ex and Vincent. She was showing off an engagement ring in the photos. Sure, seeing them there stung a bit. That used to be my life. Those trips, those friends, those traditions. But it wasn't a knockout punch, more like a reminder that I still had some healing to do. Then last week at our kids' graduation ceremony. Something unexpected happened. We ended up sitting next to each other during the hour-long wait before the event started. She started asking questions about my life, my work, if I was dating anyone. I kept my answers short and vague. The interesting part came when I decided to ask about her happiness with Vincent. Remember, this is the same guy she'd been seeing for over 2 years, the same one she'd introduced to our kids over Easter. But her reaction shocked me. She immediately went into complete denial mode, claiming he was just a friend. I couldn't help but laugh. I pointed out that she'd been with him for more than 2 years now, and if I were him, I'd be pretty upset about being called just a friend. That's when she got emotional. Her voice cracked as she told me she had regrets about her choices and wasn't happy with how things turned out. When I asked her to be specific about these regrets, she went quiet. I left that conversation feeling different than I had in a long time. For 2 years, she'd been living in her own version of reality where she probably convinced herself that our marriage ended for other reasons. She still couldn't admit to her role in destroying our marriage, even after introducing Vincent to our kids and getting engaged to him. After sharing this story online, many people suggested I should tell our kids the truth about why we divorced. They're adults now, and they deserve to know. I'm planning to have that conversation with them during our upcoming family trip in a few weeks. Not to hurt their mom or damage their relationship with her, but because they should understand what really happened. What's interesting is how things turned out. She got what she wanted, the younger guy, the car club lifestyle, our old friend group, but she doesn't seem happy with it. I remember one of my new friends telling me that the grass isn't always greener on the other side, and he was right. I'm not taking any pleasure in her unhappiness, but that graduation day conversation was the first time I truly felt like I'd won. Not because she was unhappy, but because I finally saw that I'd made the right choice in how I handled everything. I didn't cause public drama, didn't badmouth her to our friends or kids, and focused on rebuilding my own life instead. Looking back now, losing those friends doesn't hurt as much anymore. Real friends wouldn't have abandoned me like that. The whole experience taught me that it's better to have a few genuine people in your life than a whole group of fake ones. I've made new friends who actually care about me, not just about keeping their wives happy. I'm still working on myself, still healing, but I'm in a good place now. Sometimes I wonder if she'll try to come back once things with Vincent fall apart, but that door is closed. You can't fix trust once it's broken that badly. I've learned that moving forward is the only way to go, and that's exactly what I plan to keep doing. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with friends or family who might enjoy it too. Your support means a lot. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or story ideas, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.